Hey gang, quick update. I know it's been a while, but there's a longer update, about a 10-minute one, on Patreon. It's audio only, but it's a lot more content than you normally get in these updates. So check the link in the description. If this is received well, then hopefully this will be how I do my updates from now on. It's there for free, by the way. Patrons get it early, but it's a lot longer, just with no video. So nothing's changed except the update's longer and the video's gone. Also, Week 11's update is back, which I couldn't really talk about because it talks about us making it to EGX. We will be at EGX London 2019 all 4 days. More details on Patreon. Thank you. Hello and welcome to the first update of a new format. So I'm hoping to do a little bit of a change. This is going to be a lot more free form and it's going to be a lot longer. I'm going to take a lot more time to just sort of talk about things and just not sort of police myself so much as to what I'm saying and edit out any mistakes and anything that I decide afterwards, like, that's a bad idea, like, we shouldn't include that. So that's the reason why I'm doing this now. I feel like a sort of 1-minute video every week is not enough. My partner gave me the idea to contact some local shops that we thought would have the same audience as us. Shops near us that sell games, tabletop games, video games, card games, stuff like that. And we asked them, could we put in like a poster or something of our game into your shop? We'd be willing to pay. Every single one of them that got back to us didn't ask for any money, but they all accepted, which is fantastic news. A couple of them even told us, if you want, you can bring your game in and have people sort of playtest it, get a feel for what it's going to be like, give them flyers. Some of them would say that they would give away flyers just as they were going, just as they were selling stuff, which was just really cool of them. There's no sort of punchline or twist to this, but more details later on where you can sort of find us if you're in the Glasgow area. But in other news, we were at a pitching event recently. This was so that we could get the second half of our demo funding. We were successful in doing so. We pitched to a couple of people, and it seems to me like simply due to us having less competition this year that we just got through because they needed as many people as possible. But you're glad to know the production of the demo is continuing. There's a sort of elephant in the room that I should address. There was an update video that I put out saying, we made it to EGX London, woo. We had to put it down. We had to take it down because the announcement for EGX is actually not until this video goes public, which is 4 days after, 4 days after it goes up for Patreon users, thanks to the Patreon users, by the way. And so we were advised, don't talk about EGX. Don't talk about EGX publicly just yet. The announcement hasn't been made. You'll get in trouble. A couple of people have still done that, but we're really scared of getting into trouble with the funding folks. But I think I can announce now, because the Patreon people know already, because I already put it out to them, we're going to EGX in London on the 16th of October. We're going to be there for a couple days. Hold on. The 16th is when we get there, but I think it's actually for the whole weekend, and you can only buy tickets for the day after we get there, so I think it's the 17th, but check out EGX. Give that a Google. EGX 2019. While we were at the pitching event, there was a couple of other teams there. We got to know them. Wagtails Games are the ones that we are next to. I asked them permission to say, like, is it okay if we say that we're next to you at the transfuser booth at EGX? And they were like, yeah, sure. But they said, yeah, sure, after I'd already made the video. So, thanks. Anyway, look out for the both of us, I suppose. Their project looks really good. So the pitching event was in Dundee, which means that Ifat and I got a couple of days in Dundee and we got to see the V&A, which is gaming exhibit right now. You go around, it's not so much the history of games as one would expect from something like this, but more sort of a focus on modern gaming, which was really interesting. I bought an art print of concept art of Splatoon. I was going to frame it, but the frames were more expensive than the print. So get on down there if you're in the area. Something that was brought up to us while we were pitching is that we don't necessarily have to self-publish. I understand that in some people's eyes the definition of an indie games company is one that does not have a publisher and publishes themselves, but it would definitely help if we could get funding from a publisher. And we're not too frightened of not being an indie company anymore. I don't think it comes with as much backlash as it used to. They would also help us with advertising. We're looking around. We're not certain where to look after Chucklefish had their episode. But anyway, we dropped a trailer, and the only reason we made a trailer at all, well, we would have made one eventually, but the reason we made it now was because for the EGX announcement, we were told that there was a trailer link to be put into the announcement. So we thought we'd better get that out of the way. As a result, it is incredibly vague. Coming soon to PC is true, but soon is sort of within a year, isn't it? And it might not even necessarily be within a year. It doesn't even explicitly say whether the coming soon is for the demo or for the full game. It also doesn't list any features that are exclusive to the demo or exclusive to the full game. There's nothing about the exploration because I had a feeling that if we were to represent the demo, then talking about the exploration would seem like false advertising. I was also considering asking Michael for more music for the trailer, but I thought the most action-packed music we have so far is also the only music we have so far, and ever will have, which is the battle music. So I hope you enjoyed that. The game itself's development is sort of on hold right now, and the reason for this is in the last update, I talked about an enemy which was a peasant in a sleeping bag. That enemy was made just sort of while I was improvising enemies, and I'll be honest, I don't think it's going to make it into the full game. It doesn't fit the theme of the game that we're doing right now. All of this is because everything before the peasant in a sleeping bag was all planned out. At that point, I was out of plan. So right now, we're taking a step back to planning. Or should I say we were. Anyway, we're rethinking the enemies for the following reason. For a while, in development, we've wanted to include the fantasy world of Elfame into the story of HYPO. The only problem is there'd be this first fantasy world that the heroes would make their ways to, and then there'd be this secondary fantasy world based on Scottish mythology, which is what Elfame is from, by the way, Scottish mythology. And it was at this point that we realised that there's absolutely no reason for the base world, the base fantasy world that HYPO is set in, to be Elfame from the get-go. There's a few things that change as a result from this, but it also makes the plot make a lot more sense. I suppose I can't really go into that until the game is out and you all know the story anyway. But it also does narrow down a lot of our potential enemies in the game. Something that I might have said in a previous update or on stream or something was that each hero would have their own set of enemies to fight against within the demo. Because of a couple of changes in circumstances, this is no longer the case. All 4 heroes will have the same enemies to fight against. There will be a reason for this story-wise, but development-wise it makes a lot more sense. Let's say that we're at EGX, and there's somebody waiting to play our demo. The person in front of them has just finished the demo playing as Jack. They have just experienced the game with the 4 or so enemies that Jack has pitted against him. There's somebody behind them, and they're wanting a shot pretty much as soon as they see that they have completed the game. It wouldn't seem correct to tell the person waiting to wait longer while this person who's already playing plays the game for a second time as a different character in order to experience the game with the enemies that they have to offer. Or let's say that nobody's waiting in line. One person comes to play our game, they pick one character, defeat the 3 or 4 enemies or more that character has to offer. Again, this is all hypothetical because it's no longer happening. And they say, great, thanks, walk away, having only experienced a quarter of the demo that we've made. Meaning that 3 out of 4 of the resources we make will be completely wasted. So this way we can put a lot more effort into balancing the enemies that we put in and not have to worry about what will get played and what won't. This also opens up a couple of doors for us. Because there aren't specific enemies for each hero, there's no reason for us to plan out the battles as elaborate puzzles. The combat system isn't changing in any way, don't worry, but the way that you progress and level up in the game might. I suppose it won't matter until the final game is out. Something that might have been missed in the last update was the map system. I've had a lot of thought into how the exploration will work, and I've realised that there's absolutely no point in manually controlling one of the 4 characters through hundreds of environments, especially considering the scenes themselves will play out more as a visual novel style of thing. So I've come up with a new map system which takes time management into effect. Basically, every time your character moves, 1 minute of the day will be used up. So in the full game, you'll have to best manage your time to make sure you don't run out. Also, enemies will move at the same time as you do. I think that's probably all that matters about the map system right now, considering it won't be in the demo. Now, I tried something recently, which was playing my game in front of 3 people who hadn't played it before. I asked them to figure out the battle between Jack and the gutter vault vein. The conclusion of this is that the status conditions are far too complex. Prone was understood without much hassle, but armour seems a little bit too beginner unfriendly. So I'm going to change it again. I know that this is the second time that I've had it change, and it might not even be the last. But if it helps people understand the game the first time they're playing it, then I'm all for it. Earlier on, I said that I was back to planning. This referred to planning out the battles. I had to decide what skills each hero would get for each battle, and which skills the enemies would use as well. This is all done, but this might change in accordance to the balancing. If I find out that Raven, for example, can kill every enemy by attacking once after placing a status condition down, then it's going to have to change. But for now, I don't think I've left such an exploit in. So from now on, I'm going to put a lot less pressure on myself to actually implement things before planning them. Which seems like common sense once I say it aloud, but once you get into the groove of programming things, it just seems logical to continue. And I think that is everything on the list. So what did you guys think about this lower energy sort of idea of giving you guys updates? Let me know in a comment. If you want to see me create the sprites for the game, definitely go to twitch.tv/discoreptile. I'm streaming there pretty frequently now, so I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for listening.